Why is "not all men are rapists" considered a bad, offensive thing to say? Why is this a work conversation to begin with? This sounds like an hour involvement waiting to happen. All blanket statements are stupid. Well, aside from, that's a blanket. I'm gonna sidestep the issue and say anyone telling you that you're more likely to rape someone is creating an unprofessional work environment and should be reported to HR immediately. There's no response you can give that doesn't come off bad for you in the end. You're asking the wrong question, fam. Why are you having this conversation at all? There's definitely some context missing from here. I don't think it's so much that it's a generally offensive phrase, but that it seems more often than not it's inconsequential to the discussion at hand when it's said. I usually see it used defensively, to deflect when women are talking about their traumatic experiences. Typically with men, it's like saying, "Not all dogs bite," when someone is telling you about the horrific dog attack they experienced or talking about solutions to the problem of dogs who attack. It's just not helpful. Who says this kind of thing at work? To a male coworker? Very weird. Because it is a derail. I have never met a woman who believes all men are rapists. But I have met many men who interrupt a woman sharing her valid fears surrounding her safety with, well, not all men are rapists. It's just a very obvious thing to say, but not as obvious or stupid as telling a guy he is more likely to rape them. Not all men are rapists, but a majority of people who rape are men. That's probably what she meant, but this sounds like a very weird conversation to have in general. But especially at work. Aside from the, "How did that conversation start?" that everyone else has answered. I'm going to answer the actual question. Women know that, not all men are rapists. The problem is, we have absolutely no certain way to know which ones are. You, having no intent to rape, are angry that someone would suggest that you could. But we have no idea for sure that you wouldn't. There's not a floating sign above your head like in a video game. So many rapists have been, by public metrics, nice guys. Who wouldn't do that? The BTK killer with a married with children church guy. Ted Bundy was charming and friendly. Brock Turner was a good-looking swimmer. And that's just some that rape women unknown to them. Many men have committed date rape, ignored a no, or gotten a yes by so much pressure that the woman just gives in. Again, we have no idea which men are actually safe. Which means, for women, no men are automatically safe. I would tell her that is an inappropriate accusation to make, especially at work. The sentence, "Not all men are rapists," is perfectly fine. It isn't bad, because it's true. The issue is, we don't know which men are rapists. The best way to understand this is being in a room full of strangers that are men in comparison to a room full of strangers that are women. The likelihood of fearing being raped in the room full of strange men is a lot higher if you are a woman. And a man, I'd assume. I mean, prison is a great example of that. I wouldn't take offense, she's wrong to say it's some slippery slope to say not all men are rapists. It's a fact that not all men are. So really, what is her problem? I don't cow anyone who disagrees with the statement that not all men are rapists. But women still have to behave and go through life as though all men are. We take self-defense classes. We don't get apartments that are on the first floor. We don't take the stairs. We don't walk or jog alone at night. We don't put both earbuds in. We don't park in the parking garage, etc. I don't think men really comprehend how exhausting that is. On one hand, men keep saying, not all men, and on the other hand, They blame Eliza Fletcher for jogging alone. So, which is it? It is true that not all men are rapists. But it's also true that men are more likely to rape than women. I guess if women act in a certain way to minimize the risk of being raped and men get offended by that and say, not all men are rapists, then that's like saying, you shouldn't take steps to minimize the risk of being raped. Because my right to not be offended is more important. I will feel more uncomfortable with a male gynecologist and ask for a female one if I'm allowed. I'll be comfortable being alone with unknown women in a way I wouldn't be with unknown men. Basically, I don't treat men and women the same in certain situations. If people get offended by that, I just consider that pretty unimportant compared to my safety or comfort. Of course, if a woman says that all men literally are rapists, it's reasonable to tell her that she's wrong. Your coworker was way out of line and you should definitely report it. That said, to answer your actual question as to why the statement, not all men are rapists, isn't a good defense. If someone sat you down in front of 5 shots and told you only one was poisoned but you can't tell which one just by looking, would you risk drinking any of them? Of course not. But they're not all poisoned. Your coworker could be a massive or she could have trauma in her past and she's now living in fear of, you never know. That is not an excuse for her projecting onto you in the office, just a possible explanation. I love how almost everyone on here is taking this dude's side without even asking how this conversation started. The pitchforks were out in seconds. Not all men are rapists, and, as a man you're more likely to rape me, are both dumbass things too. Say, you and your coworker should get back to work. It feels like the pendulum has swung past, acknowledging that there is a societal issue that needs to be fixed, to lumping all men together as the enemy. If the problem is that widespread, then men, specifically fathers and other role models, are the ones that will do the most to change the culture. I honestly think the context needs to be more clear. For instance, option 1. Her. I don't like it when men walk me to my car after work when it's dark. Him. Why, that's weird. Her. Because I'm a woman and am afraid of being raped by a man. Him. But not all men. Option 2. Her. I hate all men because they're all rapists at heart. Him. But not all men.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.